If you've ever walked into a CT shift feeling like everyone else knows what's going on except you, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the CAT Scan Guru podcast. I'm your host, Karinna Hogan, CT technologist, educator, and creator of the CT Tech Survival System. Each week, we're cutting through the confusion around protocols, contrast, workflow, and everyday challenges that no one seems to explain when you're learning CT. My goal is very simple: help you become more confident, more competent, and less stressed every time you walk into the department. Because let's be honest, most departments don't have the time to teach everything you need to know in CT. Now let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CAT Scan Guru podcast. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. So recording this podcast, I'm going to give you a little bit of housekeeping first because there are some things that are very weighing on my mind very heavily. And I've gotten a lot of DMs and comments and things like that on TikTok. And this is what this episode is going to be geared about. Okay. It's a very important topic, especially when we're talking about training the new technologists that are coming into CT and just the hardships that most of these people are facing when it comes to that. Okay. So a little bit of housekeeping. So if you're not following along on the podcast show, make sure you subscribe, like, share it with a technologist that needs to hear all this juicy information. Also, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because lots of good things are coming to the YouTube channel and more content is going to get uploaded as far as that. Also, follow along on TikTok. So at the CAT Scan Guru on TikTok, where I do protocol videos and I do some other things and I do some funny shit on there. So, and I share, bits and pieces of my life and things like that because, we're all human, right? Also, I have created a CT community for you technologists that are struggling out there. So the CAT Scan Guru community is available now. So it's a membership exclusively to CT technologists, and it does cater to new technologists who need to succeed and excel in their training because they're lost, confused, had not enough training, where I go ahead and I put different types of trainings in there. I have several courses in there. Every month, we're going to do a CT case review where I'm going to take a case. We're going to review it. Also, there's going to be Q&A where you can submit your questions, protocol questions, and review every single week. So those are the things that are coming. So since this is something that I think is very beneficial for you guys, so there is a special price to join the membership. So it's $24 a month for you to go ahead and join the membership. And this is special pricing is going to be available for the next 14 days. So starting today, Wednesday, June 24th, 2026, in 2 weeks time. So that'll be in the second week of July, this discount will go away. Okay. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you guys check the show notes. Number one, check the show notes so you can get in on that action to get into the membership. So there's a lot of good stuff that is going to be in there. I'm going to be giving you the nitty gritty, and I'm going to do probably a couple of lives, probably every quarter. So every 3 months, I'm going to do a live inside the community. So make sure you guys get on that action. So the membership is $24 a month right now. Make sure you get in that like now. Okay. Plus you get all the things that I've offered in the past, the courses on contrast, common exams, a CT survival course, and I'm also going to be giving you the pocketbook and the protocols guide as a free offer. And then also there's the audio series. So make sure you guys go ahead and grab that. Also, as a freebie, I'm going to be turning that 8-week checklist. It's going to be a masterclass, like a training masterclass that I'm going to turn into that. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Check out the show notes for everything. So get your butts in the membership, guys, because this $24 a month price is not going to last very long. So make sure you guys get into that. Or if you want to pay for the entire year, you can. So for the entire year, it's $288 to be in the membership. So get in on that action. Check out the show notes. So let's get into today's episode. I have received a lot of DMs. I have received, comments that I have done videos on, and a lot of just frustration and things with technologists that is really it's really heavy on me because there are a couple of technologists that I have been assisting through the DMs as far as they only received a very short amount of training. One received, 8 weeks of training, the other one received like 10 weeks of training. It's something just astronomical. And I just want to ask, like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Okay. Now, I'm going to strip away all the objections that I know most of you are going to throw at me because those are the objections that I keep getting in my comment section on TikTok. So, what are we doing? We can't just leave our technologists to say, okay, you'll figure it out. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to CT and it's very complex. So, like, that answer does not fly with me. Okay. So, let me give you the common objections that I get, and I'm going to debunk all of them. So the one common thing that I continue to get all the time is, well, we're really busy in the department. Okay, that's understandable. We don't have enough people because we're short staffed. That's understandable too. We just don't have the proper tools and the resources to train anybody. Okay, that's understandable. Or the other thing is that there are people that don't want to train, or they're sending, these technologists through a CT program. And I have a beef when it comes to CT programs because they're not what they're cracked out to be. Okay. Or you get told you're just going to have to learn on your own. We're not going to pay you, which I see a lot of cross training and being paid on the job to cross train coming back a lot because I think most of these CT programs, as far as their drive, is starting to fizzle out because the employers have an advantage just cross training their techs there while they're working and getting through that process a lot quicker. So all those objections that I went ahead and named, like those are all valid. And these are things that we express and we see all the time. Even in my department, yes, we are busy. It's high capacity, high demand, high volume of exams. We're constantly busy. We're running around like fucking chickens with our heads cut off. I understand all that. So, but there are solutions and ways to maneuver around that so that the technologists that are training with you, that they get the appropriate amount of support and that they are getting the knowledge and the education that they need to execute those exams and be able to run on their own. Okay. Now, telling a technologist, oh, you'll figure it out. Let me tell you why that advice fails, because not all of them are going to catch on quickly. Not all of them are going to do the exams correctly. They do need extra help. Not all of them are going to understand the why behind all this. Not all of them are going to grasp, okay, I start my timing on contrast here. Well, what happens if this happens? What happens if something goes wrong? What happens if I don't have the appropriate labs? You can't just say they'll figure it out, okay, in the beginning, because they need a lot of guidance and support. That's why I don't agree that just throwing in a technologist and say, okay, well, here's 8 weeks of training. That's not enough. 10 weeks of training is not enough. Sometimes 12 weeks of training is not enough. So we have to decide on what is the appropriate amount of time to make sure that these technologists are set up for success. Okay. What every new technologist needs is they need structure, a training program in the department that is structured, that tells them A through Z on exactly what they should be focusing on, what they should be doing, and how they should be executing. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. They should know their core exams. That's number one. So your head without contrast, your CTA head and neck, stroke protocol. Okay. Your PE studies, your abdomen and pelvises with contrast, any CTA exam when it comes to the abdomen or a runoff, because those things are commonly ordered. So whatever commonly ordered exam, that's what you need to make sure that they do. And that's what they need to make sure that they execute and know how to set up those scouts correctly. Patient centering is very important, okay? Because I see a lot of fuck ups on patient centering. So come on, guys. And also to make sure that they are, putting their lines, their box in the correct area of the anatomy being scanned. Making sure contrast, they need to understand why contrast enhances at certain times when it comes to arterial and venous phase. And then if there's any delayed imaging, any delay phases after that. Okay. So, and how to make sure you set up your room properly, making sure that they know what to do if they have to do rectal contrast, if they have to do, some other type of like trauma exam. You have to make sure that whatever it is that is a common exam and it's a core exam, which all those things that I just explained, that they have it nailed down pat. Okay. Whether you have to create like a guide, a checklist, videos, whatever, trainings, that's what you need to do to make sure that you set up your text for success. Okay. And I know lots of departments have like a checklist that after this time, they need to sign off on these things. So those are some things you can start implementing in your department. Okay. Those are what technologists actually need. The other thing that they need is make sure these new technologists write things down because protocols change all the time. And sometimes they get tweaked. Sometimes they're different. Sometimes one facility may do one thing, another facility may do something else. So it's always good to keep a notebook and write notes, okay? Making sure that they know their anatomy, okay? I always tell techs, make sure that you get yourself like a good cross-sectional anatomy book. I know I have like those pocket anatomy books, or if you're on TikTok, they have flashcards. Okay. I might put that in my showcase. So they have flashcards so that you know different types of anatomy and where things are. Okay. So making sure that you have a cross-sectional anatomy book is the way to go. And that is something that is useful that you know. Because I can tell you, your spiral protocol book, yeah, you may flip through that. But honestly, is that really going to teach you everything you need to know about how to scan the patient correctly? Right? So you also need to make sure that your structured learning, like if there's any changes and making sure the techs feel confident, if there's any changes in your programs or the way you structure your training, make sure you update those because that is super important when it comes to making sure that your incoming technologists are set up for success. You can also set this up for travelers. Okay. Travelers, because they're coming from different facilities, coming from different states, coming from different experiences. So make sure that you have something set up that is not only geared for a new technologist coming into the department, but also a traveler if you do have travelers, because they need to know your protocols as well. They need to know your policy and procedures. They need to know as far as contrast. They need to know how radiologists like things when they send those exams off. So it's the same system that you can create for two different types of techs. And that is something that you need to do. One other piece of advice is designate somebody on your staff to train these new technologists. Okay. I feel that when you are brand new, you should be paired up with one technologist because in the land of 30 technologists like I have in our department, everybody scans differently. And it's one too many techniques that you would have to remember. So if you stick with one person, one scanning style, and see how things are executed, and then you can develop your own scanning style after that, because that just comes with time and repetition and practice. Okay. I don't condone that you be paired up with like 5 different technologists and they have 5 different ways of how to scan somebody, because that's just going to confuse the shit out of you. So what I would recommend is pair them up with one person, making sure that you have a structured departmental training program that is structured. And if technologists need a little bit more time, give them more time. I think between 12 to 16 weeks of training should be sufficient enough for a new person to learn and hardwire their core exams and know how to work independently. So those are my thoughts on that. And hopefully we can really just start to bridge the gap of how we execute our training in CT, because there are a lot of gaps and a lot of people are falling through the cracks, because I get DMs and messages every single day with the same question on how do I navigate this? So we have to be there for our new technologists and we have to stick together and we have to bridge the gap and we really have to set them up for success. So that is it for today's episode. So like I said, make sure you guys check out all the details on the CT community membership in the CAT-Scan Guru community. $24 a month. That discount does go away in 2 weeks. So you have 14 days to sign up and get into the membership so that you can be a confident technologist and excel in your training. So this is an added bonus. This doesn't replace your site's protocol or anything like that. This is something to help you while you're training. Okay. So make sure you check out the show notes. Make sure you follow on TikTok at the CAT-Scan Guru. Subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. And as always, thank you so much for joining me in this episode. And I will chat with you guys in the next episode. Before you go, remember this. The goal isn't to memorize every protocol or know every why overnight. The goal is to build a strong foundation that allows you to think critically, work confidently, and continue to improve on every shift. If you're looking for that foundation, the CT Tech Survival System was built specifically for new CT technologists navigating the challenges of real-world CT training. You'll find the details in the show notes. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, confidence in CT isn't about knowing everything. It's about understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. I'll see you in the next episode.